Proportional Response. Book 1. Chapter 13, Part 8. Beating on a Moral Compass. The last of the fighter practices, mini-conferences, broke up, and everyone began to file out the door. Hannibal sighed inwardly and pushed down thoughts about his aunt's attaché, while he nodded his goodbyes to his Bond brother. Henry, however, gave him a look and indicated that he should stay, so he sat back in his chair and continued to enjoy his drink. Vashna stopped on her way to the door when she noticed he hadn't followed, but he motioned for her to go on without him. She took a fleeting look at Henry, grabbed her marshalling staff from beside the door, and hurried out. She has come to enjoy the fighting a great deal, especially standing right there next to the fighters with that stick, so she can ensure their safety. She may not want to fight herself, but she loves being right on the edge of it all. The door closed, and he only realized he'd been staring at Vashna's swaying hips when he heard Henry chuckle. His blush went all the way up his arms. When he turned back, Henry handed him a drink, something far stronger than the tea he'd been enjoying. They took a moment to enjoy the whiskey before Henry spoke.
You know, if you don't go ahead and take that girl up on what she is offering before long, she's going to get offended. Either that, or she's going to jimmy the lock to your door at night and turn you every which way but loose. I'm not sure which would be more dangerous.
Hannibal jerked his eyes up towards his Bond brother, who looked at him in amusement.
I hardly think that such a thing would be appropriate, even to be joked about. She is barely more than half my age, Henry.
Henry interrupted him with a shrug and a wave of his hand.
So what?
Hannibal blinked a moment in confusion.
So, look, I know you humans have similar attitudes to us about taking advantage of younger people. For us, it is just a stronger taboo regardless of the gender pairing, but that isn't the point here. The point here is that she is old enough to decide things for herself and mature enough that there is no taking advantage. She isn't some starry-eyed intern falling for charisma, nor is she looking to marry you for your station. Hell, based on the way she holds herself, I would bet that you would be the one marrying up if it got to that point.
Hannibal shook his head.
You don't understand, Henry. She is not that much younger than you is what she is. Damn it, Hannibal, for someone who is such an agreeable guy and so damned good at finding compromises, you can be as hard-headed as a human sometimes. No, that wasn't a compliment this time. Stop smiling at me like that. Look, the difference between you in years is a little larger than would have been okay for you in the past. However, those years start to mean less and less as the younger partner in a pairing gets older, and she is well past the age where no one older than her should stay away based on age. That said, you have a responsibility to yourself and to her to make sure that the two of you define your relationship to start with. I can't say whether you two will make it long haul. There is something about the girl that I can't pin down and that bugs me, but she is smart, witty, kind, and, most importantly, earnest. Be honest with her, and I bet she will do the same. Maybe you will have a little tryst while she is here. Maybe it will be something longer. Either way, you damned well need it. Yes, you do. Don't sit there and try to stammer at me. You've been hit with far too bloody much since Renfrew busted into my embassy, and it has you wound up tighter than a drum. If Her Royal Majesty...
Hannibal grimaced. There was that sarcastic tone in the title again.
Hadn't sent her brother here to help you, I would have gotten a direct line comms to her and given her a piece of my mind. Yes, I would have. I'd already investigated the protocol when I found out he was coming. Henry, Okay, maybe it would be good for me to have companionship for a bit. Goddess knows I could use some female company that isn't related to me, but...
Henry slapped the desk. Not as hard as he could, but hard enough.
But nothing. Okay, fine. I had hoped not to pull this card on you, but you aren't giving me a lot of options here. Brother to brother, man to man, go get laid. Talk to this girl, figure out if you two will be in it for real, in it for fun, or experimenting and leaving it open, and let her kick your damned legs out from under you. You need it. She obviously wants it, and the only thing getting in your way is that you haven't updated your numbers of what is okay to adjust for the fact that you are not her age anymore. Or are you going to try to sit there and tell me that, when you were her age, none of your friends spent any quality time with partners your age? Did it raise any eyebrows then?
Hannibal felt himself recoil from his friend's words as if he'd been struck. I guess I did. There was that one time I was a senior attaché to that lady ambassador for those few weeks. We never even considered it anything but a diversion for the voyage. But he shook his head as the understanding hit him. I was Vashna's age, and she was probably older than me. Hell, she even made the first move, though only because I failed to hide my own attraction. He sat there and studied his hands, lost for a moment in the memory. He'd learned a lot those couple of weeks, and he knew he'd even taught the older woman a thing or two, and not all of it in the bedroom. He looked up at Henry, and the man surprised him by throwing his head back and laughing.
You were cougar bait when you were her age, weren't you?
Anibal cocked his head at the unfamiliar term, and his hands blushed as he pieced together the meaning.
Don't bother answering. I can see it in your eyes. I bet she was even the aggressor, wasn't she? And here you sit, telling me that you people don't have a double standard for pairings on such things.
Anger welled in him for a moment.
We don't. This isn't me having a double standard, it is.
Henry held up both his hands in a placating gesture. His anger passed as fast as it came on, and he continued.
It is. I don't know what it is. Well, maybe you had the right of it, and I just haven't updated my thinking in too many decades. I've been so busy with the Empire that any pairings were best kept as ephemeral things. Maybe part of what has kept me away has been fear of something real.
The understanding settled on him like a weighted blanket, then fell off like ice sliding off a mountain, and took another weight he hadn't even realized was there with it. How much of my shyness with women is my cowardice getting in the way? Henry knows that too, but knows me enough not to bring that part of it up. Well, when he is right, he's right, and I have been torturing myself about inappropriate feelings towards her for too long, and I didn't even need to. He chuckled softly at himself. Aunt Eldia told me all of this already. Maybe I just needed to hear it again from someone else. Henry had sat quietly and allowed him to process. Annabel raised his head and looked his friend in the eye.
Okay, you got me. Thanks. My ethical compass is something upon which I pride myself, and it doesn't need adjustment often anymore, so I guess I have just not gotten used to having to check it.
His friend nodded and smiled.
What are brothers for? Now, go out there and win yourself the hand of that pretty little lady.
He stood and laughed.
I don't know if it is so much winning her hand, or stop dodging her, but I will.
He stood, waved, turned, and opened the door to find Vashna standing in the doorway, a large grin on her face. He shot her a hard look, which she spoiled by taking his hand and kissing it. Her lips lit a fire in his hand that spread through his body. He felt it all the way down to his toes, and could feel the blush go all the way to his shoulder. His only conciliation was seeing the blush go up her arms as well. She gave him that wry, suggestive, mischievous smile that women of all species seem to learn at birth, and spoke.
I'm also glad that your Bond brother here was able to finally get some sense into your head. I was beginning to debate whether I was going to try using a drill to pour it in, give up on you, or just drive you mad with lust and pin you to a wall when you had a weak moment.
Damn, the way his dimples show up when he blushes that hard is cute. It is a good thing for him that he is cute too, or I'd bring my knee into his balls. Vashna was furious. She also felt happy, floating on cloud 9 in some ways, and was basking in the thrill of victory to be sure, but still furious. That kiss on the back of Annabel's hand had been like an electric fire that shot from her mouth straight to two little points on her chest and one between her legs, part erotic charge and part thrill of victory. It was the thrill of victory part which made her angry. I know when my emotions have been played with, and they have been. This boy's noble elder unreachable routine played hard into my own emotions. Okay, damn it, princess, face reality. You want what you can't have, and you couldn't have him, so you wanted him. Wait, is that really it? No, I have never had to chase a man before. Hell, I've always had to beat them off with a stick. Yet, this one couldn't be baited with anything I threw out there, and I threw everything except arranging for him to catch me in the shower. She gave herself a mental shake. She felt like she'd been manipulated. even though she knew she hadn't been, and the lack of a valid target made her all the more angry. "I will get someone for this, Uncle Kazler." Damn him. He could have intervened with Edible before this, but he knew that the best way to get me to grab this turkey was to make me chase it. Him and my aunts. Oh, when I get my hands on them. Edible finally recovered from the shock of her threats to pin him against a wall, and he favored her with a half-shy, half-winning smile. A wave of something that tingled from her crown to her toes, swept over her and pushed the fury down. It can just stay down, too. I will deal with that later. Right now, Princess, you have a promise to keep to Eldia.